Snoop?
Data, how can you be programmed as a virtual encyclopedia of human information without knowing a simple word like Snoop?
Step aboard the Enterprise once more and journey back to the legendary world of Star Trek: The Next Generation, the series that redefined science fiction from 1987 to 1994. From Captain Picard's commanding wisdom to Data's search for humanity, these unforgettable characters became icons across generations. But nearly 4 decades later, time has changed everything. Some stars continued to shine. Some stepped away from fame, and others faced quiet battles beyond the screen. Where are they now, 39 years later? Let's uncover the surprising, emotional, and powerful stories behind the cast. Patrick Stewart portrayed Captain Jean-Luc Picard / Locutus of Borg, the disciplined commander whose moral gravity became the soul of the Enterprise.
Oh, you've been on this ship for some time now, and that you're posing as Clara's friend.
Born in Mirfield, Yorkshire, in 1940, he was raised in a poor working-class home by Gladys, a textile worker, and Alfred, a former Army Sergeant Major whose war trauma shadowed the family. He first appeared in Star Trek: The Next Generation in 1987, at 47. Picard was a steel-spined diplomat in a captain's chair, his calm voice carrying the weight of galaxies. Stewart later spoke openly about witnessing domestic violence at home, a wound that shaped his advocacy and art. After the series, fame followed him into the films: X-Men, Shakespeare, and Picard. But his memoir also faced failed marriages and distance from family. In 2026, turning 86, he remains active, reflective, and dignified, like a man still listening for the echo of command. Jonathan Frakes portrayed Commander William Thomas Will Riker / Commander, the bold first officer whose confidence gave the Enterprise its human heartbeat.
May I introduce our new first officer, Commander William Riker. Commander Riker, this is our ship's counselor, Deanna Troi.
Born in Bellefonte, Pennsylvania in 1952, he grew up in Bethlehem, the son of Doris and James Frakes, an English professor and critic, and found his way from music into theatre. He first appeared on The Next Generation in 1987, at 35. Riker was a bearded burst of charm and command, leaning into danger as if the future were a jazz solo. Behind that ease was grief. His younger brother Daniel died of pancreatic cancer in 1997. After Star Trek, Frakes reinvented himself behind the camera, then endured the collapse of his feature-directing momentum after Thunderbirds, before rebuilding as one of modern Trek's trusted directors. In 2026, turning 74, he is still directing Star Trek, seasoned by loss, yet at home among the stars. Brent Spiner portrayed Lieutenant Commander Data / Law, the pale android whose search for humanity became one of Star Trek's deepest sorrows.
A kind of human behavior I was not designed to emulate.
It means,
Born in Houston in 1949 to Sylvia and furniture store owner Jack Spiner, he lost his father to kidney failure when he was only 10 months old, and was later adopted by his mother's second husband, Sol Mintz. He first appeared on The Next Generation in 1987, at 38. Data was a golden-eyed mirror held up to mankind, learning, laughter, grief, loyalty, and sacrifice, one fragile gesture at a time. That early loss gave his life story a quiet ache beneath the comedy and precision of his work. After the series, Spiner never fully escaped Data's shadow, even as he moved through theatre, Independence Day, voice work, novels, and Picard. In 2026, age 77, he remains alive, private, witty, and tied to the character who made immortality look lonely. LeVar Burton portrayed Lieutenant Commander Geordie LaForge / Lieutenant Geordie LaForge, the engineer who turned blindness into another way of seeing.
To all of this is in a visor created for a blind man who never would have existed in your society.
Born in Landstuhl, West Germany, in 1957, while his father served with the US Army, he was raised in Sacramento by his mother Irma, an educator and social worker. He first appeared on The Next Generation in 1987, at 30. Geordie moved through the engine room with a visor like a silver horizon, translating invisible forces into hope. Burton had already carried the burden of roots as a young actor, and years later he admitted he was deeply hurt when the campaign to make him host of Jeopardy ended in rejection. After Star Trek, he fought to keep literacy at the center of his life, from reading Rainbow to podcasts, books, and teaching. In 2026, age 69, he hosts Trivial Pursuit and prepares his memoir, still devoted to stories. Michael Dorn portrayed Lieutenant Worf / Risa Tourist, the first Klingon to stand as a regular officer on a Starfleet bridge.
It would be helpful if we knew exactly what we were looking for.
Born in Luling, Texas in 1952, he was raised in Pasadena, California, and studied radio and television production before working in music and acting. He first appeared on Star Trek: The Next Generation in 1987 at 35. Worf was a storm held inside a uniform, all iron honor, wounded pride, and volcanic silence. Dorn later revealed that an early-stage prostate cancer diagnosis pushed him toward a vegan life, turning private fear into discipline. After TNG, he carried Worf through Deep Space Nine, films, games, and Picard, becoming one of Star Trek's most frequent faces, while also living as an accomplished pilot with fighter jet dreams. In 2026, age 73 and turning 74, he remains active, reserved, and forever marked by the warrior he made human. Marina Sirtis portrayed Counselor Deanna Troi, the half-betazoid empath who gave the Enterprise its emotional conscience.
Remember what I taught you, Imzadi?
Born in Hackney, London in 1955 to Greek Cypriot parents, she grew up in North London and trained at Guildhall after secretly auditioning against family wishes. She first appeared on Star Trek: The Next Generation in 1987 at 32. Troi seemed to listen with her whole soul, reading pain before words could reach the room. Sirtis has spoken publicly about childhood abuse and the eating disorder that followed, a wound she later confronted through therapy. After TNG, she returned for films, Voyager, Enterprise, Lower Decks, and Picard. But her later years were shadowed by the 2019 death of her husband, Michael Lamper, and her move back to Britain. In 2026, age 71, she continues acting and convention appearances, outspoken, grieving, and still fiercely alive. Denise Crosby portrayed Lieutenant Natasha Tasha Yar / Sealer, the security chief whose brief life on the Enterprise left a wound larger than her screen time.
In space, we've detected no unusual readings or anomalies.
Born in Hollywood in 1957, she was the daughter of singer-actor Dennis Crosby and the granddaughter of Bing Crosby, growing up near fame but not sheltered from its shadows. She first appeared on Star Trek: The Next Generation in 1987 at 30. Tasha was a blade in a gold uniform, fierce, guarded, and always braced for a fight. Crosby later said she was miserable as the role narrowed, afraid of spending years saying, "Aye, aye, Captain," from the same bridge position. After leaving, she returned as Yar and Sela, then produced Trekkies, turning typecasting into a study of devotion itself. In 2026, age 68 and turning 69, she remains an actress and convention presence, still carrying the echo of the death she chose to risk. Gates McFadden portrayed Dr. Beverly Crusher / Dr. Beverly Crusher, the physician whose composure made sickbay feel like the last safe room in space.
For a first officer to want to demonstrate his energy and alertness to a new captain.
Born Cheryl Gates McFadden in Ohio in 1949, she grew up near Akron, studied theatre, and trained in physical movement in Paris before working as both actress and choreographer. She first appeared on Star Trek: The Next Generation in 1987 at 38. Beverly was a red-haired flame of science and mercy, a healer who could challenge captains and comfort the dying. McFadden's most painful Trek chapter came when she was dismissed after the first season, after conflict over the writing and her character, only to return later and reclaim the role. After TNG, she balanced acting, teaching, choreography, motherhood, and a podcast built on intimate conversation. In 2026, age 77, she remains creatively present, quieter than fame, but not erased by it. Will Wheaton portrayed Wesley Crusher / Ensign Wesley Crusher, the gifted boy whose brilliance often made him lonely before he was old enough to understand it. Born Richard William Wheaton III in Burbank, California in 1972, he entered acting as a child and had already become known from Stand By Me before Star Trek. He first appeared on The Next Generation in 1987 at 15. Wesley was a young face, lit by impossible equations, standing at the edge of childhood and the stars. Wheaton later wrote and spoke openly about childhood emotional abuse, estrangement from his parents, mental health struggles, and the pain of being pushed into performance. After TNG, he reinvented himself through writing, blogging, audiobooks, gaming culture, The Big Bang Theory, and The Ready Room. In 2026, age 53 and turning 54, he lives as an author, narrator, and survivor, still protecting the boy he once was. Whoopi Goldberg portrayed Guinan, the mysterious 10-forward listener whose quiet gaze seemed older than the stars. Born Karen Elaine Johnson in Manhattan in 1955, she was raised in public housing by her mother Emma, a nurse and teacher, after her father left. She first appeared on The Next Generation in 1988 at 33. Guinan stood behind the bar like a keeper of secrets, sensing grief, danger, and destiny before anyone else could name them. Goldberg's road to that calm presence had been harsh. She has spoken publicly about undiagnosed dyslexia, early drug use, divorce, and raising a child with almost no money before 20. After Star Trek, the Oscar and EGOT level fame did not free her from scrutiny. She rebuilt herself as a daily television voice and returned as Guinan in Picard. In 2026, turning 71, she remains moderator of The View, still sharp, guarded, and impossible to reduce. Cole Meany portrayed Chief Miles O'Brien / Transporter Chief, the ordinary working man who made the future feel lived in. Born in Glasnevin, Dublin, in 1953, the son of Kathleen and Patrick Meany, a van driver, he discovered acting as a teenager and trained at the Abbey Theatre School. He first appeared on Star Trek: The Next Generation in 1987 at 34. O'Brien stood at the transporter console like a tired lighthouse keeper, practical, loyal, and quietly bruised by duty. Meany nearly hesitated over Deep Space Nine because the commitment could cost him film roles he wanted, a career risk hidden behind a steady face. After Trek, he refused to disappear into one uniform, building a hard-earned Irish and international screen life, and receiving IFTA's Lifetime Achievement Award in 2025. In 2026, age 73, he keeps acting, seasoned, restless, and proudly beyond the transporter room. Ziana Muldaur portrayed Dr. Pulaski, the stern physician who entered the Enterprise sickbay like an old-world challenge to Data, Picard, and the crew. Born in Brooklyn in 1938 and raised partly on Martha's Vineyard, she came from an artistic family and built her craft through college theatre and television. She first appeared on Star Trek: The Next Generation in 1988 at 50. Pulaski was crisp intelligence in a white coat, abrasive at first, but edged with a healer's stubborn warmth. Muldaur's private life held deep losses. Her first husband, actor James Vickery, died of cancer in 1979. And her second husband, Robert Dozier, died after a long illness in 2012. After TNG, she found acclaim on LA Law, then stepped back for caregiving and animal shelter work. In 2026, age 87 and turning 88, she lives quietly, less visible now, but not forgotten by the universe she briefly unsettled. Patty Yasutake portrayed Nurse Alyssa Ogawa / Dr. Alyssa Ogawa, the calm medical presence who made the Enterprise feel staffed by real, devoted people. Born in Gardena, California in 1953 and raised in Gardena and Inglewood, she came from a Japanese-American family, graduated from UCLA with honors in theater, and began in Asian American stage work. She first appeared on Star Trek: The Next Generation in 1990 at 37. Ogawa was a soft light in sickbay, steady-handed beside crisis while history thundered outside the doors. Yasutake's path was quiet and hard-won, with late recognition through Beef after decades of support work. After Star Trek, she returned in the films, earned an Independent Spirit Award nomination for The Wash, and kept working without excess. She died on August 5, 2024, from T-cell lymphoma at 70. Her small role proved gentleness can survive in the margins. Dennis Madalone portrayed Cardassian soldier / Borg, one of the bodies of danger that gave Star Trek bruises, falls, and violence. Born in 1954 and raised in South Plainfield, he came from a stunt family and graduated from South Plainfield High School before turning risk into a career. He first appeared on Star Trek: The Next Generation in 1987 at 33. His screen figures were flashes of armor, alien flesh, or impact, faces swallowed by the action he helped create. The emotional cost of his craft is built into the work itself. High falls, car flips, fire burns, and the anonymity of making others look heroic. After TNG, he coordinated stunts across Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Castle, and other productions, while his patriotic 2002 music video became an internet curiosity. In 2026, age 71 and turning 72, he remains remembered as Danger, a man whose legacy lives in motion more than dialogue. Majel Barrett portrayed Enterprise computer / Luoxana Troi, the voice and presence that made Star Trek feel like one long family memory. Born Majel Lee Hudak in Cleveland in 1932, she took acting classes young, studied at the University of Miami, and lost her father, police officer William Hudak, when he was killed in the line of duty in 1955. She first appeared on Star Trek: The Next Generation in 1987 at 55. Lwaxana swept into rooms like glittering grief disguised as comedy, while the computer voice watched over the ship like a ghost in the walls. Barrett's life was tied to Gene Roddenberry's dream, and after his death in 1991, she carried that legacy as both widow and guardian. She kept voicing Starfleet computers almost to the end, completing work for the 2009 film before death. She died on December 18, 2008, of leukemia at 76. The future lost its voice, but not its echo.
Snoop?
She Enterprise's final echoes fade. The cast of Star Trek: The Next Generation remains bound to a future they helped imagine. Patrick Stewart carried Picard into a later life. Jonathan Frakes became a steady director. LeVar Burton turned literacy into legacy, and others returned one last time in Picard. Majel Barrett's voice is gone, but still seems to haunt the ship. Fame gave them immortality, yet time asked for everything back. Which face changed you most? In the silence after warp speed, the stars remember them for us.